Hey guys, Tisha here, and we are back for another Love Times 3 book read along. Okay, I know y'all like, how many times is this girl gonna wear this outfit? So confession, this is me all in the same day. I think I've read 3 chapters at this point, but y'all know, well, I don't know if you all know, I love reading. So it's nothing for me to sit here and do this, and it's also gonna help me kind of keep on schedule as far as my videos go and still be able to enjoy my day off. So we're here. Oh, before I forget, same day, so they're still working on the roof. You may hear some sudden sounds. Don't be alarmed. I'm here with you. Chapter 10, A Day in the Life of a Polygamous Family. Our children should not be neglected. They should receive a proper education in both spiritual and temporal things. That is the best legacy any parents can leave to their children. Wilford Woodruff, 4th LDS Church President, and this comes from the Journal of Discourses. Elena. It is dark outside as our children stumble one by one into our downstairs family room. At 6:30 in the morning, a few of the oldest kids are already dressed and ready for school, but most of our children are still in their pajamas. Joe asks Ashton to give the prayer this morning. We bow our heads and unfold our arms as Ashton speaks softly, asking God to give us a good day, to keep the family safe, and to help Grandma T get over the flu. He finishes, and then it's Joe's turn. Y'all, this is reminding me when I was younger, family worship was every morning at, I think it was 5:45. And I hated it. I'm just gonna be honest, I hated it because I was being dragged out of the bed at 5:45, especially if my stepfather was there. Now when my mom was, it was just me and my mom. She wasn't as like a stickler for it. We would do it in the evenings, but with him, because he was a truck driver, he wanted to do it in the mornings before he would go out, and sometimes it was even earlier than that. And I know that part of my reasons for always getting in trouble was because of how I looked during morning worship. I was exhausted. So I purposely, it's not something that I made my son do. Now we pray together and stuff like that, but I was not forcing my son to do no type of morning worship. Even as far as his readings and stuff that I have him do, I'm like, pick what you want to read and just tell me about it. I'm not gonna be like making you resent religion. I'm not. And he is free to decide to choose whatever he wants to choose. But our rule is when you're in this house, you're going to go, they have children's church, well, youth church, twice a month. You can go to that, or you can go with your nanny to her church. You're going to get a little bit of something, and you're going to go from there. And it hasn't been a problem. Has not been a problem. Anyways, back to the book. Don't forget, we have Jed and Caleb's concert tonight at 8. Who still needs a ticket, he says. A few hands go up. Okay, we'll be celebrating Maddie's birthday on Sunday evening at 6:30. Plan for it. Now it's time for one of my favorite parts of the morning. We rise and exchange hugs for good mornings. Okay, so they just pray together. Okay. I'm on breakfast duty, so I head upstairs to set cereal, milk, and some fruit on the table. And soon I'm surrounded by half a dozen hungry little children. Welcome to our home. Fun fact, I did not eat cereal growing up. I was raised that breakfast should be hot, so cereal was not one of those options. Now, I did have like a lot of ackee and sawfish and stuff like that. Porridge was a staple in our home. Goldilocks and the Three Bears, she's not the only person who had porridge. We had a lot of porridge, and even now sometimes I crave it so bad I'll go and make some. But yeah, cereal wasn't a thing. There isn't just one way to structure a plural family. As the others have noted, some families live in one home and some are in separate homes, side by side or near each other. There are also families that live in different cities and even families that live in different states. At the beginning of our marriage, we decided we wanted to live as a single family with all the challenges and the benefits that come from sharing one home. I love seeing all of the family each morning. Definitely one of the pluses of living together. I think that if I were to do plural marriage, that I would want us to live close by one another. Kind of like what the Browns did when they stayed in that cul-de-sac. I would like that. I don't want to be in a house with all them people at one time. I like to be able to get away, and I don't think I'd be able to get away with that many children, because I would feel wrong if something happened on my watch. So yeah, let's do the side-by-side house thing. We live in a suburb of Salt Lake City Valley. I just added a whole Salt Lake City Valley. No, it says Salt Lake Valley. When Joe's family bought the property more than 2 decades ago, the area was lightly populated and offered space for our family to grow. It's changed a lot since then, but still has a bit of country feel to it. We're friendly with some neighbors and over the years have been involved in city and school organizations. But this is an area where people tend to be private. Our first home was a trailer that Joe moved onto the property and fixed up before Vicky and I married him. It was small but cozy, 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, a living room, a kitchen, and a dining room. We converted the dining room into Vicky's bedroom. It was larger and at the opposite end of the trailer from the master bedroom, which gave us more privacy. The little bedroom became the nursery when our first child arrived. We quickly became cramped with the arrangement. We had 5 children between us within 5 years, and tried to make a place for all of our belongings and keep things tidy was tough. Joe and various members of his family finished a large home on our property just before I had the 6th child in 1996. This is why it pays to have family that does everything, because the fact that his family was able to do that for them is wonderful. I'm sure they saved a lot of money with that too. It became our second home and seemed wonderfully spacious when we first moved in, but we eventually outgrew it too. Today we live in a 5,500 square foot 2-level brick home that Joe helped build on the same property, and we need every bit of that space. Okay, that sounds large, but for the size of their family, that's not really that large. I have an aunt that has a home that is close to that, and it is large. It's a 5-bedroom home and a 5-bedroom 4-bath. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking about the many kids that they have, and that doesn't really sound that big to me. Anyways, I'm not knocking it. Let me be clear. I'm just thinking, like, y'all got 20-something kids. You know what? No, because a lot of them probably have moved out. Okay, let me get back on property on topic. All but 3 of our children still live at home. Oh, well, that just answered my question. No, it's not enough space. Only 3 kids are out. Only 3 kids are out. So do they have 24 kids? I can't remember how many kids they have. I know it's more than 20. Only 3 kids are out. That's not enough space. So there's a lot of sharing of rooms probably. Well, you know what? That depends. Because I'm thinking of my aunt's home, and those bedrooms are large. So if they made smaller rooms, then it could be a good amount of space. Okay. From our oldest to youngest, we have Joseph, 20, Laura, 18, Jed, 18, Grayson, 16. Is this Liesel? Liesel, 16. Shad, 15. Lewis, 14. Logan, 13. Ashton, 13. Madison, 12. Tavish, 11. Kylie, 9. Sabrina, 8. Cadence, 8. Ali, 7. Vanessa, 5. Angelina, 5. Boston, 3. Krista, 2. And Victoria, 15 months. Caleb, 20, is close by, so we see him often. And Amanda, 19. And in her 2nd year of college, rejoins the family on weekends and breaks. Val's oldest son, Sam, 20, lives a couple hours away and visits frequently too. That is 3 20-year-olds, 9 teenagers, 8 children between the ages of 5 and 12, 1 preschooler and 2 toddlers. We had a craft room, an office, and an exercise room in our home, but over time, those have been converted to bedrooms. Maybe we'll get to reclaim it after we send more kids to college. Then it has, okay, so they had a total of 24 children, because it's given the dargers by age and number. So they had a total of 24 children, 23 living because we know about the baby that was lost, 11 girls, 13 boys, 5 stepchildren for Joe, 7 children for Alina, 8 children for Vicky, 9 children for Val. So Joe has 18 biological living children. 19 children is what they had if you include the baby that passed. The 3 20-somethings, 9 teenagers, 8 children between. Okay, I read all of that. Okay. Their weekly grocery bill is between $500 and $700. Now, that is back when they wrote this book. I don't know when they wrote this book. Trying to see if I see the year that this was published. That was back when they wrote this book. I know. Ooh, it's gonna bother me. I know for a fact. If I remember, I'll put it in the. If I remember to look for it, I'll put it in the description. But I know it's more than that now, because with me and my son, I spend about $300 because he eats. Good God, he eats. I spend about $300 a week. Meat is high and organic food is even higher. So they spend $500 to $700 a week. They use 36 rolls of toilet paper a week. There are 10 cars in the family. There are 10 loads of laundry done each day. 10 cell phones, 6 laptop computers, 5 desktop computers. They have 3 to 5 loaves of homemade bread consumed daily. They have 5 kids in diapers at one time. There are 5 bathrooms. See what I'm saying? The house ain't that big. They have 5 bathrooms with all those people. 4 TVs, and they consume 2 gallons of milk daily. So they're looking forward to having more kids go to college or as they launch their own lives. We currently have 11 bedrooms. Okay. All right. That answered that question. That's not bad. 11 bedrooms. Okay. And those rooms aren't that big. And 5 bathrooms. Each wife has her own master bedroom, which she shares with Joe. He keeps his clothes in each of our closets. There are 8 bedrooms for the children. We initially sat down with the map of the house and grouped 2 or 3 children in each bedroom based on their gender and age, but personality has turned out to be a bigger consideration in matching up children in rooms. Sharing a single home requires a lot of give and take. One issue that became contentious when we were remodeling the kitchen a few years ago was how high to make the counters. Small detail, but it was a big issue because I am tall. I wanted counter heights that match my size. Val, who loves to cook, is much shorter, and she wanted counters that fit her. One day, Val came across a split counter design that was perfect, a perfect compromise, one that accommodated everyone's wishes. We made decorating decisions together for the common areas of our home, such as the formal living room, the family room, and the sunroom adjacent to the kitchen, which can accommodate a table long enough to seat the entire family. The common rooms are modestly furnished in a traditional style with neutral colors. We let our designer talent shine in the bedrooms. Mine is traditional with a robin's edge blue and a chocolate color scheme. Vicky's room has the Victorian look, while Val's bedroom is a beach cottage theme that uses shades of pink, green, and dusty blue. We have 2 refrigerators, 2 freezers, and 2 laundry rooms. Yeah, if you're doing 10 loads of laundry a day, you gotta have, good gracious, their water bill is crazy. Like, for real. We often joke that we would rather share a kitchen than a laundry room any day. With up to 10 loads of wash to do each day, the laundry room can be a battle zone at times. I'll pull up in a load and plan to follow it with another batch. Meanwhile, Val, who has no way of knowing it, a 2-load day for me, moves my clothes to the dryer and then starts her own load. And my agenda is shot. More than one person can work in the kitchen at a time, but the laundry is a solo affair. I think that they should have came up with a laundry thing. if they were going to do that. But I get it. They figured out what works for them. Joe, who has his own business, is the primary wage earner for the family. At least 2 wives are usually working, while the third is the stay-at-home mom. Right now, Val and I work in our family-owned residential and commercial cleaning service and also do seasonal decorating. Vicky is at home with the youngest children and also works from home as a bookkeeper. We've all had other jobs in the past. Val was a baker, for example, and I worked for a mortgage company. We've never received welfare or relied on food stamps. Them as a family. We know that the twin that was gone at one point did have to get food stamps because they went off the grid. Their husband was gambling and stuff. One thing that has been tricky is health insurance. At times, Joe has been able to carry all of our children on his health plan. Woo, God. I think about how much gets taken out for mine. And he carried all of them? Vicky and Val can't legally be included on his family plan, however, and thus have had to provide their own insurance and sometimes coverage for their children. We also have periods where we've had no health coverage. We pool all of our earnings to cover major and ongoing expenses and split what's left over. So we each, including the stay-at-home mom, have our own spending money. We budget for everything from major purchases to vacations and groceries, but have found it works best if we can each have our own bank account and make our own spending decisions. One time, Vicky was saving to buy a piano. Val and I knew how much Vicky wanted it, so we agreed to use our discretionary money to help pay for it. Vicky, Val, and I share other duties, such as cooking for the family. Each mom is in charge of meals 2 days a week. On Sunday, we each take one meal. We divide up the rest of the house labor, with each of us taking responsibilities for certain tasks. Vicky handles the mail and bills. Val keeps us supplied with homemade bread. I do the weekly grocery shopping. We are extremely frugal and have had a reputation for being amazing shoppers. We appreciate hand-me-downs, aren't above frequenting yard sales, and recycle like crazy. We rarely pay full price for anything and shop sales, discounts, and clearance. There is a network of plural wives that gets activated whenever there's a really good deal going on. Whether it's a sock sale at Macy's or a $3 pair of pants clearance sale at JCPenney's. At the end of each season, we buy markdown clothing that we store in big Tupperware bins labeled by size and gender so the children have something to grow into. Smart. We don't usually buy brand names, which is tough on our teenagers. One of our children really wanted a pair of True Religion jeans. They were high. Joe told him, "You want True Religion? Come to Sunday school, otherwise buy your own jeans." We buy flour and sugar in 25-pound bags and purchase as many items as we can in bulk. We go through 2 gallons of milk and 3 to 5 loaves of homemade bread every day. Toilet paper, 36 rolls, 7 days. Our grocery bill, as what I read earlier, is $500 to $700 a week. Our children take sack lunches to school, which they put together each morning, assembly line style, through whichever mom is on that day has to make sure there's a sandwich and a piece of fruit and not just cookies in the bag. To save money, we've learned to cut hair. We have Haircut Friday once a month. Once a month? It's different. When my son was cutting his hair, it got to the point where I tried to do every 2 weeks, but his hair grows so fast that it then became like every 10 days type of situation. When all 3 of the boys and some of the girls get a trim at home, sometimes there's a pile of hair a foot deep on the kitchen floor. We set a budget based on age for birthdays and Christmas. Each mom shops for her own children. But if I see something I know Vicky is on Vicky's shopping list, I'll call and ask her if she wants me to pick it up. We try to make sure the piles around the tree are similar in size. One year, though, my 2 oldest children wanted iPods, and that took their whole share of the Christmas budget. We have several Christmas Eve traditions that keep the focus on fun rather than funds. We gather the children in one big circle and each give a child a wrapped present. Joe reads "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," and every time he says the word a present has to be passed to the next person in the circle. That word occurs 34 times, though Joe has been known to throw in a few extras, which means the anticipation really builds until the final when the children get to open whichever present they're holding. The surprise can be anything from a candy bar to a $5 bill. Unless they have a job outside of the home, we expect our children to do weekly rotating chores. The youngest children may be tasked with wiping down doorknobs, light switches, and the kitchen stools, or folding towels. Seems fair. At age 7 or 8, our children start dusting and vacuuming the family room, cleaning bathrooms, and helping with the dishes. Given the size of our family, dishwashing is the worst job, followed by bathroom duty. At age 10, each child becomes responsible for his or her own laundry. By age 13 or 14, the children make bread, prepare simple meals, and clean out the fridge. Our children learn that if they don't get a job done, it affects the entire family. We hold them to it too. There is no playtime or other privileges until the chores are finished. We expect the teenagers who work to cover their own expenses as much as possible for things such as gas, clothing, and cell phones. As long as they live home, they help in the kitchen and yard with car maintenance, and once they can drive with carpooling. I don't wait for Joe to do many things monogamous women expect for their husbands to do. There are 3 of us, and if he tried to play princess to us all the time, he'd never get anything done. If there's a broken light on the Christmas tree, I fix it myself. Once Vicky and I decided to remodel a bathroom, I used a mini jackhammer to remove the old tile, and then with her help, replaced it with new tile. Conversely, there was a period earlier on when Joe was between jobs. Vicky's work was working part-time, and I had a full-time job, so he made dinner every night. I could never see Cody doing that, because Cody doesn't have a real job now, except for cutting down trees on his property. Little dig there. And we don't see him, or we didn't see him helping cooking and stuff of that nature, unless he wanted to burn something on the grill. When we were first dating, Vicky, Joe, and I wrote a mission statement listing the things that were important to us as potential parents. We wanted to provide our future children with a united family, teach them to be responsible and productive citizens, and give them a strong spiritual foundation. Education also was high on our list, and initially we chose to do homeschooling for our children. Once we were blessed with young ones, we set up a preschool with some friends and relatives. Neither Vicky nor I were working. We could spend mornings teaching our children letters and sounds or colors and shapes and numbers, and then take them to the park or the country pool in the afternoon. Typically, our children were reading by the time they were 4 years old. Still true today. That's good. Was Amir 4 or 5? I think he was 5 when he was reading. I know he was at least 4. He was either 4 or 5. I need to look in his book. From there, we kept adding grades. We knew we could give our children more attention than the public schools could, and we could focus on their areas of interest more fully. There was a strong homeschooling movement in Utah at the time, and we attended the association's annual convention and its parenting training classes and support groups. We designed a detailed curriculum and adhered to the typical hours of a school day, covering all the required subjects. We also had an extensive library of children's books, which were supplemented with educational aids and learning games. We encouraged our children to pursue specialized interests such as music and took them on field trips to concerts and plays, and even to the ice making factory. We joined other homeschool groups for groups activities like science and history fairs. Many of our children also participated in Little League sports, which gave them an opportunity to interact with other children from the neighborhood. To check their progress, we periodically gave our children an achievement test supplied by a national agency, which scored the results. Most of our children tested up to 2 grades ahead of their age group. That's awesome. I love the experience of watching a child read her first word or understand a new concept. I consider it my duty, but also my privilege to be my children's first teacher. But as much as I love teaching our children at home, I always knew a time would come when their educational needs would surpass our ability to meet them. That moment came in 2002. Joe had changed careers, and Vicky and Val started working to help support the family. My oldest son was 11, and he really wanted to go to school with his friends, and the other kids were also interested in trying that approach. For all those reasons, we enrolled our children in public school. Much to the surprise of our teachers, our children tested ahead of their peers. I still kept involved in my children's schooling by volunteering in their classrooms, helping with class parties, and grading papers. We now have a hybrid approach to education, using whatever system works best for each child. At one time, we had children in 9 different schools in order to provide the best educational environment for each one. Good God, that's crazy. I'm thinking about the drop-off. 9 different schools. It was crazy. At present, we are using several different settings to meet our children's educational needs, including charter schools and public schools. We have 3 children attending 2 different colleges, too. During the school year, our days are much like those parents everywhere, hectic. Generally, each mom takes care of getting her children whatever they need to be, getting them wherever they need to be. But if we have 3 or 4 children going to the same school or activities such as a football or soccer practice or music lesson, one mom handles it. Our annual family vacation is always an adventure. One year we went to San Diego. We drove 3 cars, but everyone still had to pack light. Vicky was in charge of booking 3 condos. Val was in charge of planning meals, and I oversaw the packing and division of labor. That is one of the great benefits of plural marriage. All but the youngest children were responsible for their own suitcases. I then checked them over. I had to pull roller skates from one suitcase and put underwear and socks. Then when we travel out of the state, most people we encounter are less familiar with polygamy and mistake our large family for a church or a school group. During this particular trip, we were at the beach and a woman came over and asked if she could borrow some sunscreen. I saw you were a daycare, so I figured that you would have some, she said. Given the size of our family, it's easier and cheaper to create fun at home. For years, we set aside Monday evening as family night, a time when we gathered together to read or to recreate together. That has become more difficult with the teenagers and with Joe's current work schedule, but we find plenty of opportunities to join together as family. A typical summer weekend involves a lot of backyard games, from volleyball to dodgeball and family barbecue. I tried to cover up my yawn, y'all, so I didn't share it that time. That has become, but we find plenty of opportunities to join together in a family. Oh, I read that too. From our large deck, we can watch the children as they ride bicycles and scooters around the path that circles our yard. When the sun goes down, we build a bonfire in the backyard pit and gather to roast marshmallows and sing songs, accompanied by our own little band, a guitar, a banjo, and harmonica, as well as a mandolin. In the winter, we gather everyone up to go sledding or ice skating. At night, we hunker down in the family room for pizza and move any favorites and movie. Favorites are Star Wars and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and Napoleon Dynamite. It's on nights like that as I snuggle on the couch next to Joe with Vicky and Val close by and children piled around us that I feel like I'm sitting in the middle of a dream I first had 20 years ago. Val. If there is one day of the week in our lives that looks different from what goes on in many families, it's Sunday. Sunday is sacred to us, a day of worship, family, and reprieve from the hectic day of life, just as if it's for many other people of faith. But instead of traveling to church or a meeting house, we head downstairs to the family room for our weekly service. It takes teamwork to feed everyone a small breakfast and then get them dressed in their Sunday clothes. For one thing, there are 8 little girls whose hair has to be done, but we usually gather by 9:30 a.m., ready to worship together. Joe will ask someone to give an opening prayer, and then one of the mothers will take the children who are younger than 8 to another room for their own class. The moms take turns giving the little children lessons on basic principles of our religion and ideals like kindness, serving God, and having a lot of love for others. For the younger children, we use teaching manuals published by the LDS Church. These primary manuals designed for different ages include lessons, songs, poems, art activities, and things to memorize. A lesson might discuss the Heavenly Father's plan for us, present a simplified version of the Articles of Faith, which is 13 statements that describe the basic Mormon beliefs, or explain the origin of the Book of Mormon. Meanwhile, Joe leads a discussion for the rest of the family. As a priesthood holder and father, Joe is responsible for making sure our family understands the principles of the gospel, which is the focus of our Sunday school. This is when we talk about, read, and study our faith, usually spending 1 to 2 hours together. Joe's lessons draw from what we call the standard works, the Holy Bible, the Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price, as well as other less well-known Mormon writings. Okay, so here we have it. We are finally being told some things that we've never heard from the Browns, which is that they don't just use the Bible. They use the Book of Mormon. They use the Doctrine of Covenants. They use the Pearl of a Great Price. And, excuse me. Oh, y'all, I'm doing everything in this video. I apologize. As well as other Mormon writings. These include Gospel Doctrine, Priesthood Government, Teachings of the Prophet Joseph Smith, and the Journal of Discourses, a multi-volume contemplation of early LDS leaders' sermons. Joe also draws from other ethically oriented materials that complement gospel principles and offer ideas about living a good life. From The Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis to Viktor E. Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. For a lesson on virtue, Joe talked about the internet and online safety and used written material and video presentation from the National Center for Missing and Exploiting Children. Other lessons and topics have ranged from repentance to finding grace and the atonement of the Savior. He applies the messages in these works to our daily lives and shows how they can help us improve ourselves. Joe often calls on the children to speak on a topic of their choosing, and the truth is not all of them like this task. On some Sundays, we also have a sacrament service when we renew our commitment to follow Jesus Christ and his teachings. Some independents gather together for services while many others hold family meetings as we do. This is one of the ways we differ from the organized fundamentalist Mormon groups who have meeting houses where they gather. With the exception of the plural families seated in the audience, those church services do not look or sound much different from those taking place in the LDS church meeting house on Sundays. The organized fundamentalist groups sing the same Mormon hymns, give similar testimonial speeches, and hold a sacrament service in which consecrated bread and water are distributed to the congregation. Once our Sunday service is over, the moms get busy in the kitchen making a traditional brunch, a feast worth the week-long wait. It's the only day we make sure that we are all together for meals. We also often invite friends and extended family to join us for brunch, what makes it even bigger fare. It's common for us to go through 5 dozen eggs, 60 to 70 waffles, bags of potatoes, and several gallons of milk and juice. You can imagine how the children dread landing dishwashing duty on Sunday, but there are many helping hands. We always have a special, more formal Sunday dinner too. After brunch, the children go off to play or engage in quiet activities in their rooms. Joe often gets wrangled by the children into a game of touch football or outing to the park. Joe also likes to meet individually with the children on Sundays with the little ones. Joe might spend a quiet moment reading a story. With the older children, it's an opportunity to talk one-on-one about goals, concerns, work, and school success, and areas for improvement. Some Sundays, we load everyone into 3 or 4 cars and go visit relatives. We also set Sundays aside for birthday celebrations. There are just 2 months, January and May, when there are no birthdays. In April and December, we celebrate a birthday every week, which makes for a busy month. At some point in the late afternoon or early evening, we parents gather around the kitchen table to plan the upcoming week. Our Blackberries are crammed with comings and goings, appointments, and logistics as we figure out who will be where and what activities the children have coming up. We often have 6 or 8 kids in sports and music activities at one time, so figuring out how to get it all covered takes a high level of strategizing. And it seems like every other day, one or another of our 10 cars is broken down or has a flat tire, which makes scheduling even more complicated. A typical discussion goes like this. Vicky: I have a dentist appointment on Monday at 4 o'clock for Sabrina, Tavish, and Boston, which means someone else will have to get Ashton and Logan to football. And I will need help with Tori. Oh, and Lewis has soccer practice at 5. Alina: well, I was going to pick up Maddie at safety patrol so I can get the boys to football. I'll take the Nissan and you can have the minivan. But Laura's car isn't running and she has a job interview Monday at 3. Is there another car she can use? Plus, Joe, you need to help her tow it to the shop when you get home from work. And I have my sister's birthday party at 6. Val: I can make the soccer run and I'll watch Tori. Joe: Laura can use the truck. Val: great, we are covered. Goodness gracious. That'd be a lot, but they make it seem like it's so easy. I appreciate them giving us little examples of some of the things that they go through. But that's just Monday. That's just one day. We also take time during the Sunday planning session to deal with any conflicts or problems in the family, which can range from a child who is having homework trouble to a teenager who is staying out too late. Quite often, we have different ideas about what to do, and we find it really helpful as parents to hear those other perspectives. When one of our teens started breaking curfew repeatedly, I suggested taking away her cell phone. Joe wanted to give her one more chance to see how she responded. Vicky proposed grounding her for a week. In the end, we settled on a warning, talk, and a second chance. During our planning sessions, we also go over the triple honeydew list. Joe's typical reaction, holy cow. Despite the fact that Alina, Vicky, and I aren't shy about taking on household repairs ourselves, there can be dozens of fix-it-up projects. Other tasks on the list, from major projects like building a shed to smaller ones like repairing a closet door. Here is one Sunday's list. Fix dryer vent, fix leaky toilet, finish shelving in garage, put doorknobs or on shed doors, fertilize lawn, get oil changed in truck, buy and put on new tires for Nissan, install wood trim in Vicky's bedroom, pick up gravel for driveway, fix lighting in the mudroom, hang new light fixture in Alina's room, fix broken chair in the dining room, install ceiling fan in Val's room, patch leak in the dining room ceiling. There is always plenty to do. This is when we discuss any changes needed to the spousal sleeping schedule depending on the trips or events that are coming up. Our religion, though it is not just what we do on Sunday or the family structure we've established, is how we try to live our lives, using the gospel of Jesus Christ as a template. We strive to make our faith present every moment as we interact with each other and with the people outside the family. Throughout the week, our days end just as they begin with a family prayer. In the evening, before we put the little kids to bed, we gather once again in the family room, and Joe asks someone to offer prayer. It's the time to think about our relationship with our Creator and how we live that day. We follow with the tradition of the Lord's Prayer, expressing gratitude, examining shortcomings and trespasses, and seeking forgiveness. We regularly pray for our country, expressing appreciation for the construction with its freedoms and liberties, and our hope for the wise leaders. We pray for people we know who are experiencing financial hardships, medical problems, or some other challenge. It is important to us that we teach our children to remember in their prayers those who are suffering so that they develop compassion. And we always end with appreciation for the love we have for each other and for the family we've created. There's one last round of hugs before we tuck the children into bed. On most evenings, the house is usually quiet for only a few minutes before a chorus of children's voices breaks the silence. I'm scared. I can't sleep. I'm hungry. I need a drink. I have to go to the bathroom. She won't be quiet. I forgot to brush my teeth. Mom, will you sing me a song? We've even heard this one. Hey, Mom, I never got breakfast today. That's when we look at one another and just have to laugh. Alrighty, y'all. That is the end of chapter 10. And I am glad that we continued reading this book. I can appreciate this family. I'm going to do a little bit of dive into the dargers because some of you all say that y'all don't really care for Joe. I'm going to read some of those Reddit articles. I might do a say what on Joe. You like how I said that without laughing? It's because of how I said it. I think if I say it like that, I won't laugh. Anyways, talking out loud. But I've enjoyed this book, and we are gonna we're gonna pick up on page 241. So we don't have much longer to go. I wonder what we're gonna read next. If you have any suggestions, feel free to put it down below. I still haven't been able to find the catfish book, and I haven't stopped looking because I really, really want to read it just to see what's coming of that, especially since right now I am in season, I just ended season 8. So I'll be starting season 9 this week, and I'm interested in seeing the part where the catfish thing comes along, because I really want to kind of dig into that timeline, because I think that, and this doesn't even have anything to do with this book. For you people who don't watch Sister Wives, I'm sorry, but I think that the catfish thing happened shortly around the time of this divorce. I think that Mary probably thought that she was going to be out of there, which helped her make the decision, especially since she's claiming that she was thinking about doing it for 5 years. I still don't buy that, but whatever. We're just going to go with what she's saying. My stomach is growling. I'm about to go ahead and call it a day for the recording today. Thank you so much for watching. And until, like, comment, subscribe. Until next time.